practice is the first practice of the training. So if you're curious about the training, you maybe want to be a teacher, you don't want to be a teacher, but you like to learn more, it could be the training for you. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have after class about that. Next one begins in October. All right, let's get started. Come into child's pose. When you get to the child's pose, put your attention on your breathing. Create Ujjayi breath, which is slow, steady, deep, and rhythmic. It's got 4 parts: an inhale, a pause, an exhale, and a pause. So put your attention on creating that breathing. A lot of times when you're talking about all things yoga, you'll hear people refer to mindfulness. And then a lot of times when you hear that word, you might think of meditation. But mindfulness is an activity you can practice in any task that you're doing. So in your yoga practice this morning, mindfulness would mean that you're putting your attention on just one specific thing that helps you to achieve the goals of yoga, which is to go inward and inside discover a quality of peacefulness, stillness, and presence. So on your next inhale, lift your body up into downward facing dog, but keep your attention on your breathing. And with your attention on your breathing, also place your gaze on one point right now at the back of your mat. It's called your drishti, and it's a thing you concretely and physically do that helps you achieve a quality of being in the act of mindfulness. Then look to the front of your mat and step forward. At the front of the mat, feet open, parallel to one another, and hip width distance. And you can just hang down. Keep your breath flowing and your drishti on one point. You can let your head just hang. And while you're building your breathing, continuing to put attention on it, invite in that you have an experience of the whole back side of your body. Become aware of what it feels like. However it is neither right nor wrong. It's just what is. Put your attention on that. Let the feeling from your heels, up the back of your legs, down your spine, across the whole span of your scalp and through to your eyebrows. Let yourself notice that. Mindfulness is an action of letting yourself notice. And then to be completely enthralled by what is actually happening for what it is. It's what's real. It's reality. Keep your breath flowing. Press your feet down into the ground. Come rolling up to standing. Once you're standing tall, sweep your arms overhead. Reach up and look up and experience the whole front of your body stretching. Perhaps another breath or two as you feel from your toes to your chin and from your chin to your fingertips of stretching. Take another breath, then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest and set your gaze on one point. Let yourself be completely aware of the spot that you've set your gaze on, present to it for all that it is, just right here as it is. And then set an intention for your practice today. Something specific, an intention to be present or curious, whatever it might be for you. And then to create a clearing and get ourselves ready to begin, let's chant Om together 3 times. So take a deep breath in. Inhale and reach up. Stretch. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift halfway, make a long flat back. And then on the exhale, high plank to low plank. Inhale, lift your chest and stretch, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now 3 breaths together. Breathe in and a long, steady breath out. 2 more. Inhale and a steady exhale. Then the last one. Breathe in We move on the last one. Bend your knees, step or jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, breathe in and fold. Inhale, stand. Get the stretch from your toes to your chin to your fingers and fold to the floor. Inhale, lift halfway, high plank to low plank as you exhale. Then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. While you're here, maybe you put your attention on your hands and feet and feel what you feel in your hands and in your feet touching the mat. One more breath in, breath out, bend your knees, move up to your hands. Halfway lift, whole spine long, and fold down. Inhale, stand, press your feet down while your fingers reach. Fold to the floor. Inhale, lift halfway, low plank on the exhale. Then upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, breathe out. 3 breaths, deep one in and a steady breath out. 2 more. Long breath out. Here's the last one. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees, jump to your hands. Halfway lift and stretch. Now fold. Inhale, stand up. Reach as high as you can. Stretch your elbows, wrists, and fingers and fold to the floor. Halfway lift, step or drop to the low plank. Then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, and breathe. So you could choose what would be the vehicle or the tool that would help you achieve more mindfulness in this practice. Maybe it's just focusing on your breath or the feeling in your hands and your feet. Let's do one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Press your feet down, stand up, lift high, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, keep pressing your feet. Low plank. Here you could press your heels back into the air, then upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Breathe. Now, as you get more acclimated, pose by pose, breath by breath, you might start expanding the base of this pose more long or more wide. Bend your knees on the exhale and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Stand up, reach up, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank drop. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and breathe here. Breath in, steady breath out. 2 more, breathe in, steady exhale. Here's the last, inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Stand up, breathe in, fill up, reach. Fold to the floor. Half lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now, one thing about your feet, other than just pressing and feeling them press into the floor, as you have a look at them right now, is lining them up in what we call true north alignment. And that would mean as you look back at your feet right now, for many of you, your heels, not your toes, your heels just go a little wider to a point, just your heels, where you can't see them behind your toes anymore. Take another breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Have a look at your feet. Line them up so the sides are parallel to the sides of your mat. And give it a try here. Now squat back to chair pose and reach your arms up and breathe. Once you do the squatting, look back down at your feet. A lot of times when we take our attention away from a part of our body, it just starts to do stuff different than what we thought we wanted it to do. That really has a lot to say about what mindfulness has happening for us. It means that we have a sense of and an awareness of all things, even when we don't have all of our attention on it. So your feet, you chose something about your feet when we set the pose up, and it's either still there or it's not. Take another breath in and reach up. Then fold to the floor as you exhale. Keep your strong feet. Halfway lift, low plank. Hover in the low plank. Hover there and just open your heels a bit. Then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge for warrior one. Arms overhead and just breathe here. Come down low in your lunge until you feel both of your legs, not just the front leg. So your back foot can be turned and flat, anchored into the floor. Take a long stride. Go a little longer there, David. You can take a long, more space between your 2 feet. Then anchor the 4 corners of both of your feet. And what that would mean is in your back foot, press the back edge of it into the mat. Just press that right down. That's it. Now that you're deep in your legs, feeling both feet, lift the pit of your belly and look up. Reach up. Stay in here and breathe. While you reach up, stretch up to your chin. Keep breathing. Stretch your elbows, your wrists, and your fingers until your whole body is alive in the pose. One more breath. High plank to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side step for warrior 1. Arms overhead, and be patient with the process. Once you get into the pose, anchor your feet. I'll share with you, as a teacher looks around the room, what we oftentimes see is as soon as we don't put our attention on our feet aren't really in the process the way we're looking for them to be. So press your back foot down, straighten your back leg. Now lunge low, low until you feel both legs. Stay low in your legs. Then lift the pit of your belly, your elbows, your wrist, all the front of your neck up to your chin. Let it stretch. Deep, deep lunge. Reach up and go back. Hands to the floor for chaturanga, and empty your breath. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. You take your rest here. Breathe in. Maybe have a sigh and just clear space. 2 more breaths. Big exhale. That's it. Last one, inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Organize your feet. Take chair pose. Fold to the floor. Keep your organized feet. Press them in the mat. Halfway lift. Move to the low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. Go into that deep lunge you created in the first round. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. It's going to get a little messy here. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now the left side. Step. Deep legs. Stretch your elbows. Hands down, chaturanga. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Take your rest here. What we're doing is sequentially waking not just your body up, but your mind awake, your whole being awake and present in the space. One more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Half lift, organize your feet and fold. Chair pose, the weight in your heels, press your feet into the mat. Fold to the floor and keep your feet. Halfway lift, press. Now low plank, stretch your feet back. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge. Anchor your feet, deepen your legs and reach. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left side step and lunge. Anchor your feet, reach up, hands down, chaturanga. Up dog, downward facing dog. Your yoga practice has the capacity to transform you, wake you up in ways that you never even knew were possible. But it will take mindfulness, feeling each sensation as you move your body through the practice, being fully present, and then taking on the challenges that show up breath by breath. Or it's just a thing you do and it kind of stays the same year after year. Take one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit back and reach. Fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right side warrior 1. Big lunge, press your feet and reach. Hands down, chaturanga. Up dog, downward facing dog, left side step and lunge. Feel both of your legs as you reach. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and breathe. There's never a right or a wrong way to do your practice. There's just what there is today to be experienced in it. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, organized feet, and fold. Press into your heels, chair pose, sit back and reach up. Forward fold. Halfway lift, low plank, drop back. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward lunge. Press your feet, reach your fingers and lift. Hands down, chaturanga. Up dog, downward facing dog, left side, step and lunge, especially that back foot, anchor it. Hands down, chaturanga, and empty. Up dog, downward facing dog. If you need to take a sigh, you take a sigh. Let the practice as it's occurring today be exactly what you need. Part of it's not showing up the way you wanted it to. Get curious about what is showing up. Let's do one more round. Inhale, exhale, bend your knees and jump. Half lift, forward fold. Open your heels, sit back into chair pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Move to the low plank. Up dog. Downward facing dog, right foot forward. Now this is the last warrior one. Get what is possible here. Hands down, chaturanga. Up dog. Down dog, left side step and lunge. Lift the arch of your back foot, whether you think your arch will lift or not. Hands down, chaturanga. Up dog, downward facing dog. You got it. Take a breath, open your mouth, clear out the space. Then raise your right leg into the air behind you. Just stretch it back, then bring your heel to your hip and flip the pose over. Keep your breath flowing while you do this. So not only present in the still moments, but present in the moments in between where you're moving, making changes happen. Deeply curious right here and everywhere for what's possible. Possible in your hand and feet, possible in your ribs and breath. Another breath, side plank. Put your right hand on the mat, face the long left side of your mat and stack your body up. Check out what's possible today. It might be lifting your top leg. It might be bringing your bottom knee into your chest. Might be bringing your bottom knee to the floor. Wherever you are and you're breathing, on your next exhale, blow the air out and hug the pit of your belly into your spine. Lift the pit of your belly up toward your chin. Stay here for another breath. Now with that strong belly, high plank to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. You're going to be all right. Take a sigh. Raise your left leg in the air, bend your knee, heel to your hip and flip it over. Keep your breath flowing. You got it. Keep your drishti chosen. It's changing, right? You're moving your body around. You have to change where your gaze is. Try 2 bent knees there, Tess. Yeah, that's it. And then maybe even a sigh to just let something go. If you press your feet down and your hand down, you'll be able to lift up out of your bottom shoulder. There you go. Side plank, left hand to the mat, face the long, right side of your mat, stack your body up. Even here, wake up your feet, flex them, pull the baby toe edge of your foot back to your face. Press down so you rise up and the whole thing gets lighter. Strong pit of the belly is the key here. High plank to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward into crescent lunge and set your drishti and steady your breath. Let yourself land in the pose. Crescent lunge is the one where you're on the ball of your back foot rather than a flat back foot. Your hips will be square to the front of your mat. If your mind is very busy and giving you a lot of information about how things should be in the practice, take a breath, have a sigh, and clear that space. Then bring your attention to your feet and your legs. Deep, deep lunges. As I look around the room, I'll say to all of you, like 5 more inches down is possible. Try it and just see what's there. Then reach up and back. So keep the deep legs. A really strong, powerful back leg will really power this lunge. Lift up and go back and stretch as high as you can. Then hands to prayer and twist. Bring your left elbow to your right knee. Keep your breath flowing. Then stretch your back heel, your left heel back to the back of your mat. while your chest and the crown of your head stretches forward toward the front of your mat. And then let all the points in between be stretched and breathe into them. 3 more breaths here. Feel the experience of just breathing in the shape you've created. 2 more. Now we've got the last one. Stay for the exhale and complete the whole pose. Then come on up to crescent lunge, open to warrior 2. Your practice sometimes will hold you in the present moment. You felt how that was. You get a little tired in the pose and you're like, I want to go there. Did you feel that? I want to be there. But now here you are lunging again. Come down deep in your lunge. Just drop your eyes and have a look at your front knee. You want to have it stacked over your ankle, so a longer stance. Go longer. Like open your feet long. Yes. Deep, deep lunge. Point your toes of your front foot and your knee all in the same direction. Is that happening in your foot? And then you could put your attention on your back foot. You can angle your back heel out and press all 4 corners of your back foot into the ground. And then lunge down as low as you can go, deep in the pose, so you feel your back leg and your front leg. And then stretch your arms apart and tilt for extended side angle. Keep on breathing. If your mind gets busy here with what shouldn't be, like I shouldn't have to hold this long, take a sigh and let it go. Breathe. Feel the whole front, legs, inner thigh, from the groin out to the knee on the inside, just stretching. On the outside, from the knee back to the hip, pulling in. 1 more breath. Stay here and exhale. Then hands to the floor for chaturanga. It's tricky completing things, right? That last bit of the exhale at the end of something you've held. That's an interesting point to get curious about. Left side crescent lunge. I relate to that. I'm like to the teacher, come on, is the pace of your voice saying we're moving on here yet? And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So eyes set, breath steady. Start to work with your feet and your legs. What do I mean by that? Well, if I were in this pose, I would get down low so I could feel the back leg, especially the back inner thigh line to my back inside ankle. And then have this quality of pulling my back leg forward, pulling my front leg back so that I could lift up higher out of my pelvis. Deep, deep lunge. Lift up to the ceiling so your whole body gets long and lean. Lift up and go back. That's it. Now in the most extreme of the pose here, up and back, you want to stay. We've just gotten to it. 2 breaths, the whole body getting animated by the breath. Last one, stay for the whole thing. All right, hands to prayer and twist. Right elbow, left knee. Get your breath flowing. Wake up the back leg. Stretch your body from heel to crown of the head long. Then you might open your arms or bind the pose. We're still building the pose. Move yourself physically to whatever is the physical edge of the pose for you right now. That's it, Elle. Now 3 breaths to be in the experience. We're going for being in the attention of these last 2 breaths until the very last bit of a last exhale. Here's the last one. Stay for the whole thing. What's there at the end of the exhale? Reach up, crescent lunge, open warrior 2. Nice. And so what did you discover by just being there in a moment that oftentimes we're gone, meaning our mind is gone and maybe our body's moving? Deeply plunge. Serena, go a little longer with your feet. Deep, deep plunge. Point your front knee, if it will, and your front toes forward. Good, there you go. Deep, deep plunge until you feel your front inner thigh stretching out to your inner knee, till you feel your back leg's inner thigh line all the way down to your inner ankle stretching. Once you've got both legs, stretch your arms and tilt the pose. Extended side angle. What will it take for your whole body to be alive in this expression of the pose? To stay with it, full expression, no giving up on yourself physically. Take yourself to your physical edge in the pose, whatever that is. Now be in the pose for 2 more breaths. Complete the whole last breath. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. There you go. Upward facing dog. Get the whole stretch on the front of your body. Downward facing dog. Take a breath with a sigh and just make a clearing happen. Let's get ready to move. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Have a quick look at your feet and organize your feet so they're parallel. Then sit back into your heels so it's light in your toes. So sit way back. You can even press on the outside of your shins to get way back here. Keep breathing. When you feel like you have your feet, you have yourself sitting back, you might feel your belly resting on your thighs while you're still sitting back here. Pull the pit of your belly into your body, not to get round, to stay stretching, but to support the pose from the front. Keep on breathing until from your hips back to your head forward, you're maximum long. When you feel max long here, everything is set. Breathe in and exhale, twist. Left elbow to your right knee. So don't change all that great stuff you set up. Elbow to your knee. Keep breathing. Keep on breathing. Feel what you feel, what's still set, what kind of came out of it. Sometimes there are things you have to compromise because your strength and your flexibility relies on that. Open your arms, half bind or full bind. Or if you're feeling like taking it further, you've got bird of paradise. You've also got side crow, where you would squat down. You might stay in a prep of it in this twist, or put your hands on the floor and tilt and lift your feet up for side crow. Take your pose wherever you're taking it. You have 5 more breaths. That's it. Stretch your heel, birds of paradise. 4. Could you sigh and relax and just stand tall? Last breaths here. You've got 1 more after this one. So this is the very last one. Chest up, and then for everyone, forward fold from wherever you are. Hook your big toes and stretch down. Give your body some ease and relief. Fill it with breath. And if you need, take a sigh and let your mind just be cleared. We'll take the first of 2 crow poses. Hands down, knees on the outsides of your armpits. Tilt forward into your handstand hands. Pick your feet up. You might hold the crow just like that with every exhale, pressing the floor while lifting your core, or take a variation. One variation you could take is to remove your right knee from your right arm and let it just hang in the center. Hold that. Maybe put your foot or your knee back on your arm. And then for everyone, take a breath and take chaturanga. Upward facing dog is next. Downward facing dog. Take a breath here. On the exhale, bend your knees and move up to your hands. Half lift, forward fold. Let's do the preparation for our chair. So feet hip width distance, sit back until the weight comes out of your toes, and then just gently settle your toes. So we don't have tail tucking under. We don't want this body shape, this C shape. We want your hips reaching back, like they're reaching to sit on something. So sit way back. Maybe press against the outer edges of your shins to get really active in your legs. Once you get established in your legs, take a breath. When you exhale, blow out and just lift the contents of your abdomen into your torso. That's all, not a C shape. When you really feel powerful with this, maybe you check sitting bones way back, like you can reach them into your palms, or crown of the head way forward, or both of those things happening. Get that action. When you have all that and your belly still lifting, you're ready to twist. Right elbow to your left knee. You're hoping when you get into this chair twist that from your sitting bone to the crown of your head, all that space between is stretching long. So you can really feel the stretch and the breathe into your back right ribs. Start to build your pose toward your finishing or your edge pose. Bird of paradise, side crow pose. Maybe just the prep for the side crow. It's a deeper twist than the chair twist. Wherever you are now at your edge, 3 more breaths. So be vibrant and powerful in these last breaths. Finish up the last of it. When you're completely finished, chair pose and forward fold. Gorilla pose. Slip your palms under your feet from the front. Keep your breath flowing. Do a body scan from your felt sense. That's an inside knowing sense, not an eyeballs or a 5 senses sense. Do this felt sense body scan and let go of whatever doesn't need to be working right now. Wake up whatever is dull and asleep. Usually what would be dull and asleep for most people in this pose has something to do with there being no weight in your big toe edge of the foot, therefore no lift of the arch and no lift up the inseam of your thighs. Check that out on your own body. One more breath. Crow pose, second set. Hands on the ground, knees on the outsides of your armpits, tilt forward into your handstand hands. So your knees will have to squeeze into your arms while your arms press out into your knees. That's where some of the power will come from. If you can harness that power to a place where you get kind of light, maybe your left knee can hang in the center of the pose. That's it, Adam. Hold it if you can. Good, you got it, Paige. One more try, one more breath, and for everyone from there, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. That pose where your knee comes in is called pendant pose or lalasana. And if you tried it, you can feel it's an incredible isolation of one side of your core strength while the other side's still stabilizing. All right, take a breath. On the exhale, bend your knees, come on up to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Come all the way up to standing, sweep your arms overhead and set your drishti, your gaze. Right side eagle pose. Wrap your right arm, squat, wrap your right leg, and see if while we move through these poses, you can keep your drishti set and your breath flowing. Now, of course, you can take this lying on your back if that's the best way for you to be in the pose today. Squat down low, squeeze your legs. Create this pose so that there's a vibrancy in it. From your foot all the way to the hair at the top of your head, there's an aliveness and awareness going on. Keep that, and just simply with your next breath, step out as you inhale, left side eagle pose. Just go from one to the other with very little extra effort going on. Just keep your breath flowing. And then work with what shows up. You might fall out of the pose. Doesn't mean the practice just went wrong or it broke down. It just means that's something new you're working with. So you've got your breath and you've got your drishti. Switch to the first side, right arm under, right leg over. Stay with it. Steady breathing. Gaze on one point. Practicing getting to the point where you can make it through the whole yoga experience with your gaze chosen every moment. That's a real increase of a muscle strength. It's an ability to hold present for a whole practice. Most of us don't start yoga with any ability in that sense. I started with none. Step out, left arm under, left leg over. Keep your gaze, keep your breath. Let your body do the things your body needs to do, but you stay present. Mindful is something more than present, though. Present's a part of mindful. Stay present. And to create it as mindfulness, experience what you're experiencing right now, whatever that means to you. Keep your breath, keep the gaze, let your body do what it's doing. Step out, arms overhead, hug your right knee into your chest. You can keep your eyes on one point. You could stay steady, your attention on one spot, feeling the sense in your foot at the touch of the mat. Hold your foot with your right hand or strap and extend your right knee. Just keep your breath flowing. If you don't hear breath in your part of the room, the best thing about a yoga practice is what's also included is the chance to start again at any time. You can open your leg to the right. Now you'll need to move your drishti to the left. It's all right. Keep on breathing. Things happen to you and in the space around you, and you just work with it. Bring your leg forward, hug your knee into your chest, stand tall. Knee into your chest, stand tall. Sure, you can extend your leg, press your heel forward. That works. I like your volunteerism here. Hug your knee into your chest, airplane pose. Now stretch and keep your breath flowing. Gaze just on one point. Steady breathing. You got it. Then work with whatever's showing up in the pose. Steady breathing. Here's a new one for you, Tess. No matter what's going on around you or what you're doing and how it's affecting the world around you, you stay with the breath. Hands to prayer, press them together. See if that steadies you. Really press your palms. Let yourself get steady from that pressure. Half moon. Left fingertips down, right arm in the air. You see, in this way, we work with what shows up and needs to happen. If the room starts getting a little shaky, we've got to take a second to get steady. And shaky's going to happen. If you feel like that's you, reach out to your fingers and out to your toes. That's it. Let your chest open. One more breath. Forward fold and hang. Take rest. You might like swaying from side to side. If you'll be using a strap on the extended leg raise for the left side, grab your strap. Come on up to standing. Hug your left knee into your chest. Get your gaze on that one spot. Hug your left knee, and then extend your leg. You can have a strap or a towel around your foot. Hold on to your foot. It'll help you build new flexibility. Wherever you are, let your left hip crease in the front just soften and your thigh come back a little bit. I saw that, Candy. That was exactly it. Open your leg to the left. Look and reach to the right. Breathe. Breathe into the pose. Breathe and feel the feeling of how your breath expands your whole body and then it softens. Expands and softens. One more breath. Bring your leg forward. Hug your knee into your chest. Get tall. Open up airplane pose. Keep your breath flowing. With your felt sense, run through your body and notice what there is to notice. Is there any spot that occurs as a space where it dulls? Sometimes that would be a place where joints are locked, like a locked standing knee. See what you see in your own body. Feel what you feel. Another breath. Press your palms together. All of your attention in your palms pressing right now. Press them. Press your palms. Breathe. Open up to half moon. Right hand down, left arm in the air. You got it. Be right here with what's happening in your body right now. Then gather in the pit of your belly. Hug it. That's it. From the pit of your belly, hugging into your spine. From there, expand out to the periphery. You stretch to your fingers and toes. You got it. Lift that leg. Wiggle your toes. You have it. Forward fold and hang. That was very good, Tess. Sway from side to side. Come on up to standing. We'll take the standing bow. You're really ready for this now. All the way up. Right arm bone moves back. Forearm rolls open so your palm faces out. That's different from your shoulder rolling forward. That feels stuck. We want arm back and open. Bend your knee. Hold your shin. Flex your foot. Eyes on one point. Get steady and breathe. And then start to stretch. Yeah, make the pose occur because you're stretching. Different from kind of holding back a little bit in one area or another. Go to your edge, the place where if anything changes, you're probably not going to hold on to this. So the place where it's not safe, meaning safe from falling out of it. So kick a little more, stretch a little more until you can't have any more intensity in either direction. To change it would be to lose your balance. One more breath. All right, step out. Other side, left arm back. So the arm bone goes back. The forearm rolls open. Your arm holds inside of your shin. They can't catch inside of the shin. You could just hold outside of the shin. Knees start together, and then you're stretching the pose front and back. Oftentimes, we'll try to start with the knee flaring out to the side, and then it'll come around, and there won't be any stability anymore in the pose. It needs to move forward and back. Keep breathing. Get to the edge where your breath gets interesting. You stay with it, stretch. You can do this. Right here at the edge, breathe. You got it. Stretch for it. Yes, that's it. You got it. That was so good. Come on out. Okay, so that was both sides, both sets? No, we have a second set, whole second set. You're not fessing up back here, Amanda's like, yeah, we do. This is the good one, though. You're ready for this one. Okay, now you did a lot of work on the first round. Here we get to enjoy the second round. Reach back with your right hand, hold your right ankle. Start with your knees together. So if you're already open, remember, you're not going to get this. Knees together and drive it back and deal with what shows up. You're going to find a lot of stretching in your front hip and your kicking leg thigh. That's okay. You may notice there's so much stretching in this bottom side rib cage. You got it, Adam. Reach. Don't let me mess you up. That's it. Love that recovery. Stretch each one of these ribs apart without letting these ribs collapse. You're doing a good job of it, Adam. Keep stretching. You can see his whole back waking up, getting flushed with new blood. Step out. Good work with all that distraction. Switch sides. Left arm back. Kick and reach. One of the things I get interested in my own body when I'm doing this pose, because I can, like many people, spend my whole day with my shoulders up and kind of rounded forward, and then your upper back stiffens up around that. I watch for this whole pocket under my shoulder blade to become hot, become more malleable, so my shoulder can sink back down into it, find its normal pocket, the place it could really be if I wasn't bringing the stress into my upper back. Reach to the edge. Step out. Put your eyes on one spot. Maybe your hands rest at your hips or on your thighs, but with your eyes on one spot, catch your breath. That pose is one that moves so much energy in your body. Let's let it settle out with tree pose. Left foot stays on the ground, right foot to your left inner thigh. Try to watch this foot doesn't stand out so far. This is the one where you really could square it up. Of the balancing poses, you have that easy option to square it up. Then hands pressed together. You'll notice as you press your hands together and your foot and your thigh together, you might see this, that your whole inside calms down. Your breath starts to expand in your body again. It's the quality of being both grounded and present that you're creating for yourself. Let's switch sides. Right foot down, left foot up. Know that however your practice is showing up and occurring for you, it's perfect. And at any point in the practice, if you want to, because it fulfills on your goals, you can change things. You can start again right from scratch and be creating newly. You could be right now creating grounding. You could be creating presence. You could be creating mindfulness. Practice with mindfulness. Your shape, that could be whatever it is for however long. We could just do this pose for the rest of the time. And it'll be an amazing practice. Can you stay present with it when it even feels like it's been too long? Stay with it. Even when you don't know what the ending will be. One more breath. Come to the front of your mat. At the front, sweep your arms overhead and fold to the floor as you exhale. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward for triangle pose. Step, make a really long base here. Back foot flat, so the whole back foot on the ground, not rolling into your arch. Now stretch. If you've come up, stretch and make a lot of length. We want this bottom side of your waist to be as long as it can be. Some of you might have to notice how what you're doing is you're rolling your knee out, roll your thigh bone out, and sink deep into this hip crease. You could get this incredible stretch the whole way down your front inner thigh line. Corey, go longer with your legs. Yep. You may find with your sweaty mat, you have to create a hugging in, and that's okay. Point your toe right to the front of your mat. Yes. Your hand can go on the block or floor behind your front foot. Keep pressing the knuckle of your front foot's big toe deep down into the mat. Work with the pose. As you breathe, keep creating more and more length in the bottom right side of your torso. You're welcome. Sorry. Keep stretching. If this is your last opportunity in this pose, how will you have this last breath? Then come on up to standing. Face the long left side of your mat, feet parallel to the short sides of your mat, forward fold. Walk your fingertips in front of you, stretch them as far as they'll go. Arch your palm into the air. Even you'll notice as your fingertips press down, your armpits arch. And then with the breath, ease your hips back behind your heels so the whole side of your torso stretches. Create it physically that you set up maximal stretch there from your fingertips up through your armpit and your ribs to your hip crease. So Jen, let your hips hang back. You can put your fingertips on the ground. Oh, bring your feet a little closer. They're probably a little too far. You need a towel there. Yeah. Let me grab you one. Once you've created the physical stretch, breathe into your ribs. If you feel like your feet are slipping away, hug them toward one another. Oh, come on up to standing. Turn to face the front of your mat, standing single leg forward fold, or you can take Hanumanasana, the splits. You have to have some length. Taking this pose super short, there's nothing. You won't get any, there's just nothing in the pose. Take it long and work your hips square. So you have to work the four corners of your feet and then start to hinge. You may need to soften this knee or lift that heel. Go a little longer with your, yes. Width is necessary as well. You can take your back foot a little wider and take it at an angle, and you might be able to get the whole foot on the floor. Go wider too with your stance. Yeah. And a little shorter. That's gotten a little too long for you. Yep. And you'll want to keep the weight even between both hips. That's it, Charlie. A lot of arm positions available here. You feel the stretch of your front legs, inner thigh, of your hamstrings. Good. Twisting triangle if you're taking the standing single leg forward fold. Check your body out and how it ended up in the pose. Did you end up leaning back on your hand and swinging your hip toward the right? We want to keep the weight in both legs. So shift some weight back, Corey. Keep shifting it back. Yep. You may need to soften a knee. Now chest toward the street. Yep. And watch how feel how that's pushing out. You can probably feel stretching here. Put weight in your back leg. Chest toward the street. Yes. Stretch this. Yep. Keep working with it. Mm-hmm. You feel your hamstring a little more that way? One more breath. Turn and open as you exhale. There you go. Hands to the floor. Take the vinyasa. High plank to low. Up dog. Get the stretch. Downward facing dog. Left side triangle pose. Step forward. Keep your breath flowing. Your breath flowing. Keep your breath flowing as you set up your feet. Go long in this base. Let your hip crease sink deep, 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 so you get lots of nice stretching in this underside of your torso. Steady breath. Work with what's showing up here. That's it. Little softness to that front knee. Watch the hyperextend. Open up. That's it, Tessie. Look up to the ceiling if you can. You're doing it. Come on up to standing. Face the long right side of your mat. Feet parallel to your short sides of the mat. Take your arms behind you. Interlace your hands or hold a strap. Lift your chest up high. Forward fold. Keep your breath flowing and let your hands spill overhead. You'll probably notice the fronts of your shoulders stretching. But as you continue to let gravity take your hands and you breathe into your back rib area, be mindful of the space that's available and being created there. Keep letting your hands get heavier toward the floor. Take another breath and have a sigh with the exhale. Come on up to standing. Turn to face the front of your mat. Standing single leg forward fold. You have a lot of choices in the hand position here. If this line were the center of my mat, I'd want feet on two sides of it. Different from using it like a balance beam. I want some space. Mostly my hip width is the space I want. And then hinge. From this big toe and heel to this sitting bone on the left side, I'm driving the pose. Go longer, Greg. Yeah. That's it. Weight into the front leg. Yes, keep doing that. Yes, just like that. And press your front foot's big toe down. The knuckle of it, keep it pressing down. Good, keep breathing. Kelly, a little weight in your front leg. Bring weight into the front. There, that's the middle. It can be tricky to find the middle of it yourself. That's it, Suzanne. Got it there, Charlie. Good. Twisting triangle. Remember not to lean over into your right shoulder and throw your hip to the left. So front foot, big toe down. Really press it. Yes, right there. Now stretch your torso long. Especially stretch your back right rib area long and turn and breathe. Keep working with that. Your back right rib stretch long. One more breath. Twist. Hands to the floor. High plank to low plank. Upward facing dog. Stretch the whole front of your body. Downward facing dog. Reach back. Stretch back. Okay, let's come to the high plank then and lower your belly on the mat for locust pose. Arms out wide like they're airplane wings. Point your toes behind you or work with them turned under. Whole body long and lift up. It doesn't have to be high. The part of my own body that I take time to notice in this pose more and more is my outside ankles, all the way up the side of my body into the armpit, up to the ear. Make that whole side on both sides of your body as long as they can be. That's it, Neil. You got it. So that means keep stretching your heels back. Keep stretching your chest forward. That's it. And then you start to see what you can see. You start to get to noticing how this upper part of your back, right at the bottom of your shoulder blades, we want to bring more and more malleability into it until these bottom points of your shoulder blades sink into your body, and that makes the chest expansion. Come on down. You can shake your hips from side to side or do it by fanning your feet from side to side. Let's do a second set. Get it set up and go. Second set of locust pose. Take any arm variation you'd like. Work with any leg variation you'd like. That's it, Damien. Now open your heels just a little bit if you can. Not by separating them alone, but by rotating your hips. There, like that. Yep, you got it. Sit, Adam. Candy, as you're getting a little more tired, you're doing more butt squeezing. Your toes are, yes, relax a little bit. And everybody, I'm sure it's not just Candy, relax a little in the pose. Come on down. You notice that about ourselves? Sometimes we just go to max effort and squeeze and hang on until the whole thing's over. Sometimes the key is coming out of it just a tiny bit. Okay, floor bow, bend your knees. We'll take 2 sets. Reach back and hold your ankles. You can flex your feet so you have a sense of your feet. You can be aware of them as though they're standing on the ceiling of your space. Kick back first and then up. Knees only hip width distance. If your knees get wide, the whole pose is squeezing into your lower back. We want to keep maximum width, space across the back of the pelvis. How will you find that? A lot of subtle ways. A sense of your knees hugging in, but your ankles pressing out all at the same time. Knees in and ankles out. Come on down. Wave your feet from side to side. Let's do a second set now. Reach back. So your body is in the shape that we're about to do 3 different ways. We have it here in floor bow. You're going to do it in camel pose, and you're going to take this shape as bridge pose. Knowing that's coming up, hug, what is there to notice about your body when gravity's acting on it in this way? All we'll be doing is changing where the gravity is. What is there to feel, see, and know about yourself in this shape right here? Come on down. Hips from side to side or feet from side to side, then upward facing dog. Hands by your bottom ribs, lift your chest, stretch. You got it. Downward facing dog. All right, now knees on the ground for camel pose. You could take half camels, camel pose as a standard. They go hip width distance, not wider. You work with your toes pointing back. I like mine turned under for more stability. And then hands at your back, hips like they're in your pockets, so not at your low back, but down at your pelvis. Press down with your shins, lift up with your chest. With my own hands, I guide the back of my pelvis down and wide and lift. So we want to be careful. What we're not doing is shoving our hips forward and sinking our chest down and back. The whole thing wants to be a lift. You felt that in the floor bow, maybe, how the whole front of your body's opening. Lift your chest to the ceiling. Nice. Come up out of the pose, hands to the floor, stretch long and downward facing dog. Get a long neutral spine. And then we'll take a second set, knees on the ground. If you're doing this one side at a time, obviously switch sides. When we get a little tired or a little uncomfortable going backwards, we start to go in this shape, butt back, chest forward. You can see I'm never going to go back like this. We want to lift and discover how we can not only stretch the front of the body, but also lift and be supportive on the back of the body instead of in a collapse. The way to bigger back bends is more stretch. Keep lifting the pit of your belly, keep hugging it in and lifting it. That's it, Amanda. High lift. You got it, Erin. Come on up out of this downward facing dog. Stretch back into the downward facing dog. Once you get the stretch, jump through your feet, lie down on your back, roll onto it, and we'll now do bridge pose, the third of the same shape happening 3 different ways. So bend your knees, put your ankles on the floor under your knees, and set them all up hip width distance. Press with your feet into the floor, lift your hips into the air. You can walk your shoulders underneath of your body. You can reach for your ankles. Maybe you never have tried this pose that way. You can. You can interlace your hands if that doesn't really work there. So now different flexibility is at risk here. You could also hold a strap beneath of your body and pull that wide. The beauty of our practice is there's a skeleton that's familiar to you every time. And then based on what's happening in the room and in your individual body, we adapt or customize. We scale the practice up with intensity, or we bring it down a little bit, lowering the intensity. There's not like the advanced practice and the beginner practice. There's only ever today's practice. What's right now? Come on down out of the pose, knees side to side. All right, let's go through a few of these. Working our back bends deeper and deeper through repetition. So bridge next, come up into the bridge. You got so much learning and knowledge about your body and presence. Set your fingertips to the ceiling, flex your wrist, put your hands on the floor wide. So default that your hands are wide, not narrow. Then press down and rise up into the bridge to the wheel. You got it. Come on up into the pose. Set your drishti. Feel your hands. Feel your feet. Be aware of the whole experience and come back down. Knees side to side. All right, get set up again. Press down and rise up. Wheel pose number 2. Or you can keep working with the bridge. Put your attention on something that's happening in your body in this pose right now in the practice and appreciate it. Be grateful for it. Tuck your chin and come on down, knees side to side. And now you're here at rest, replenishing. Be grateful for this experience. Set it up. Next one, third one, press down and rise up. All the way up. It's not a practice of wheel. It's a practice of mindfulness. Being present in the moment, experiencing it, feeling it. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side. Press down, rise up. Number 4, all the way up into it and you breathe. You got it, Tess. Press your hands. Press, everyone with Tess. Press your hands down. Rise up. Last breath, push. There you are. Okay, come down. Good work. Knees side to side. We have 2 left. Press down and rise up. Did you get scared halfway through? Press down and rise up. I know that feeling. Got 2 to go. Just in case. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, and up. Oh. Last one. Here's your 6th one. On your mark, get set, and go. You had that. Well, before you leave the pose, in this pose, in your body, one last thing, give yourself this mention, one thing you're grateful for right now. And come on down. Don't say that the pose is over. Supta Baddha Konasana. Because it wasn't in that moment. Soles of your feet together and knees open. This is one of those amazing pause points in the practice where you just get to stop and feel what you're creating. Dead bug pose. You can hug your knees into your chest. Pull your feet back, knees to shoulders, and rock from side to side. Then legs straight up in the air will create stability. You created a massive opening. Now you create the stability so that's something you hold and keep. So curl up. When you curl up, reach in front of you. Feet actively flex. You can hold your block between your ankles, but curl up. Take a breath in. Blow all the air out until your belly sinks so much down into your spine that it's flat on the ground. There's no arch in your low back. Keep all that. Breathe in. As you exhale, blow out and curl even further. Never let the arch come into your lower back as we take this little pulsing exercise. You got 5 of them. Just 5. Because I'm looking for a really deep experience for you. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees into your chest. Now you've got that established, that your core is anchored, your deepest core. Now we're going to challenge it one side at a time. One side will do some stabilizing, one side will do some action. So lower your right leg down to hover above the ground. How low you lower it is up to you. We don't want your toes to turn out. We don't want the sense of your thighs pushing away from you. Hug them in like they're hugging into something in your center line. And then curl up. Take a minute, breathe in, and then sink your belly deep so your whole lower back is on the ground. Now you're going to pulse 5 times. 5, so legs hugging in, and you pulsing. 4, can you feel how one side's stabilizing, one's moving you, and down, hug your knees. You got the other side. Switch your legs and curl up. You can rest the bottom leg on the ground with a bent knee if that helps you to notice this a little more. Curl up and really take the breath and sink. Don't worry if you don't move at all. It's no big deal. You've got 5 times. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees into your chest. Nice work. Rock head to tail and through to downward facing dog. Back and forth through to downward facing dog. Once you get to your downward facing dog and you get a chance to stretch, then bend your knees so they hover above the ground. So you're here on all fours, just hovering. Pull the pit of your belly into your body. Hips reach straight back, not tuck under you. So you're a tabletop, and then you tap right hand, right knee, left hand, left knee. And can you create it so that it's not so much a rocking side to side? Just keep tapping. 1, 2, 3. Whole body stable and still. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Downward facing dog. I know, it's kind of like nothing but good, isn't it? Right side pigeon pose. Bring your right leg forward. Back leg, you keep your toes turned under so that leg stays active. Tuck a block under your right hip rather than sit over to the right. Breathe. Sometimes when I feel like I'm really dealing with a lot, there's a lot of stress in my own world, I don't really want to do the practices of mindfulness meditation or practicing yoga. I don't want to let go of that strained, heightened awareness that seems like it's just the right partner to help deal with what I'm dealing with. And though, breath by breath, pose by pose, it's not like your world goes away, but you get a little space from it. You get a clarity about what it is that's you. You get a clarity about the tools available to you to solve the challenges with. You get out of the worry about the future or the past and into just what's right now, what's so. You come to know yourself, your habits and your patterns of either self-sabotage, like, taking yourself out, not letting yourself be powerful. The ways that you might fool yourself. And then you get into this incredible opportunity to live a chosen life. Your life is going to happen one way or the other. And either way, it's going to be good. But to live a chosen life, well, then you become this creator where you're creating your moments, your days. your capacity becomes increased. Sit on your right hip. Swing your left leg around for double pigeon. So the front leg can just stay as it is. Then the other leg can stack on top. Now, elevated hips works for a lot of bodies. Flex your feet, so not just like relaxed toes. The heel and the ankle, that hangs off the side of the thigh below it. Some of you, to decrease the intensity, you'll pull your bottom heel into your hip. Others, you'll sit in this direction or in this direction. For everybody, we're not working with the C-shaped spine. That's not what we're looking for here. We're looking to be able to sit up tall on your sitting bones. Do you feel those bony like feet on the bottom of your pelvis? We want to sit on that. So that'll take elevated hips for many people. That could be a thinner block or a folded up towel, folded up mat. It may be helpful to put your hands behind you to just help lift your back body up. For some, this is pretty easy, and what you need next is to fold forward. So you just listen to your own body. You're always welcome to try anything and see if it's the right thing for you. I'll flex your feet a little more if you can. I think you can bring your bottom foot forward. Yeah, is this your gray block? Won't take it from Erin. Put your foot, the side of it on this block. There, now flex it. Yep. And you might still even be able to bring the bottom foot forward. Yeah. So ultimately, the shape of this is that your shins are stacked up like they're fire logs. Hips back and fold. You can feel that a lot now. You got enough there. Keep your breath flowing. You feel this in your hips and low back. That's pretty obvious. The muscles that roll your thigh bone out, those are getting a nice stretch, and that happens all the way into your low back. But you may, if you're folding over, be opening more up the space in your back bottom ribs as you just breathe. There's so much that can go on in the pose. Maybe the thing for you today is just to notice a different spot than the spot you always notice. Take a breath, like really fill up, and then have a sigh. Go deeper in the pose. And then come out. Downward facing dog, left side pigeon pose. Left leg forward. The best is a summer class because there's more humidity in the room. The best is to get this hour and a half. You're like, what? That's craziness. But your body's more warm when you come in, and the humidity moves the heat into your body better than a dry room. And so here in the summertime is a place to practice a lot because you're going to make a lot of strides, a lot of changes in your body. So good work to you for being here this morning. And then do the deep listening. See if there's a place to be in the pose that's different from where you just usually get to. So we have that in every pose, the spot that becomes familiar and we just go back there. There's nothing wrong with that spot, but there are other places. And it's the quality of being present and mindfulness that will show you those other places. Sit on your left hip, swing your right leg around, build double pigeon on this side. No twinges and tingles in knees. We want to set the pose up so the knees are not experiencing the pose. Flexed ankles. For some of you, just putting your palm or your forearm beside the soles of your feet and pressing in while you fold, that's a whole different interesting experience. If you can press in on your feet, you'll feel some new opening in your back body. How's that feel to your lower back when the pressing? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah, press. You got your whole form, and yeah, press in there, Charlie, right into your feet. Got it, Molly. So, like we did in the first side of this, take a full breath. Have a sigh. Move into that new space. That means deepen the pose. You could take another sigh and see if there's someone yet even deeper for you. If you're completely relaxed in it, then definitely press into the soles of your feet and stay in a muscular action while you hold the pose. Another breath. Then we'll take frog pose. Just keep it simple. Come forward on your mat. So my short front of my mat, leave a knee on the mat, flex your knee, flex your foot, one knee off of the mat so it slides, and bring your forearms to the mat. Now, we won't hold this forever. If you never do this because you just don't like it, do it. If for some reason it's just not right in your knees, then you can do it on your back. If you hate all of it and just refuse, seated wide leg forward fold. Sometimes I'm like that. I'm aware that that's one state of mind in yoga. There, just let yourself be in the pose. Now, for everyone in the pose, your poses look amazing. Take a deep breath in. Blow all the air out and pull the pit of your belly up into your spine. So like you're more of a hover than you are like splat. Breathe. Steady, steady breathing. Now, sometimes it's difficult to be mindful when what we want to do is our mind go away because like what's in front of us isn't comfortable. Can you just stay present? However the pose is occurring for you, just stay present with it however it is. You got it, Tessie. That's it. Whole body active, experience the whole thing. Every now and then you may notice there's a part you left off of. Probably it's the pit of your belly. Especially if you're flexible, that's going to be what goes. Keep lifting the pit of your belly. Allow the knee that's off of the mat to slide. Now for just the next short while, focus on your exhales. Long and steady in the exhale. You got this. All of your attention on your exhale. Your body is there as an anchor. It's reminding you and holding you here in the present. Work with it. Just take a few more breaths. You've got this. Stay with it. Stay with the exhales. Experience what you experience. Be fully present to the experience. Allow yourself to be alive, present, fully aware. Rely on your breath right now. Let go of whatever it is you can't control. In your pose, take a deep breath in and a full exhale. Stay for one more breath. Slide forward. Bring your body into an upward facing dog. That's the best part. Stretch back into downward facing dog if that would feel good for you. And then ultimately what we'll do is come into a sitting pose, seated single leg extensions. Right leg stretched out to the side, left leg bent, sole of your left foot to touch your right inner thigh. A softness to your left knee, what works best for many bodies, or an elevated set of hips here. Fold over your right leg. Little softness to your left knee, or sorry, your right knee is no problem. Perhaps a block to support your left knee if it's hanging in the air. And then with your left hand, pull the baby toe side of your right foot. Left hand to right foot. Yep, pull that baby toe side of the foot. back towards you. Yeah, so your whole right ankle on the outside, it folds. Yes, I think a lot of you are really starting to get that. Switch sides. Left leg long, bend your right leg. Pull those baby toes back. Keep letting your outer ankle just soften. That's it. You guys probably don't know this because first you're not watching the room practice, but you also always practice here. You got it. You have excellent technique. What you may not realize about it is you are some very skilled yogis. You have excellent technique. And inside of getting the excellent technique is that you have taken the time to wake a dull area up. So you now can have choices in that area. When you look out on a classroom of people that don't have excellent technique, it's sloppy. And you can see that it's dull in areas of the body. You're doing a really good job. Come on up, 2 legs in front of you, seated forward fold. Now, what is there to discover here? You worked a lot today in the standing poses, so we did a lot of this today, exactly the shape you're doing right now. And most of those shapes required that your heels got a little wider. Give that a try. So not really your toes, your heels a little wider. What do you feel differently in your pelvis, the back of it, the sitting part of it? A little more space? Yeah, look for it. Another breath. Use a sigh. Get long. Bring your forehead toward your toes. Yes, long. Forehead toward your toes. All right, come on up. Reverse plank pose. So lean back. Your fingers can point toward your heels. That'll be the weird feeling direction. Squeeze your ankles toward one another and lift. You can also make it a tabletop or the plank. Lift up. See if you can reach your toes toward the ground and then see if you can hug the insides of your ankles together. Don't let me push them apart, Paige. Hug them. Yes, just like that. Breathe. Press down with your hands like they're sinking into the ground so that you can rise up between your arm bones, chest through your arm bones and up. Sit down. Keep your legs just as active as we just had them. Bring your C-shaped hands around each side of your pelvis. Bring your forearms to the ground. And with your C-shaped hands, press your pelvis away from you and your heels will push away from you. You'll get really active. Your waist will get long. Then press your elbows and forearms into the ground and your chest will start to stretch toward the ceiling and open up. Breathe for fish pose, a very active fish pose where there's no collapsing, no settling. So press your forearms down and let your chest open in this fish pose. Take another breath. Full expression of the pose. Stay here. Breathe into this full space. One more breath. Tuck your chin and roll onto your flat back. Excellent work. Roll your feet overhead for plow pose. Now, this is a C shape in your spine, but not one that just collapses. Once you get your feet overhead to plow pose, they may or may not touch the floor. Move your shoulders under your body and support your lower back. Then see what you can do to lift your hips up to the ceiling as much as they'll lift. I know for a lot of us, we can get feeling really crowded in this pose. How much lift can you give yourself? Then legs straight up in the air. Some, the C shape will be able to come out of your spine. Others, the flexibility is not going to allow for that yet. Or maybe ever, but you know that that's the place it moves into. For all of you, this pose will require that the pit of your belly, that strength, comes into your spine. We felt it when we were doing the stability exercises on the floor, the sit-ups. It comes into your spine and up to your chin. So that'll be down to your chin. Can you keep that kind of engagement in your core while you hold this pose? Your legs will become less consequential. Keep on breathing. Then before we leave the pose, bring your awareness into your feet. And all morning long, the awareness for your feet was that your heels would just be a little wider. So the lower back gets a little more broad. See if you can have that. Shoulder stands, bring yourself into plow. Knees by your ears, reach overhead and hold your feet. This is called deaf man's or deaf yogi's pose or Karnapadasana. This is the most curled up and round your body gets. So rather than have it be happening as a collapse, make it as an opening and a lift from one end of the spine to the other. And then right now your feet are your hands are at your feet side of your body. Put them on the opposite side so your palms are touching your mat. Keep your feet overhead for as long as is humanly possible. And then start rolling out of this pose. So bringing your hips toward the ground by stretching one vertebrae away from the last, planting it on the ground. So you'll keep your feet overhead as long as possible. Anchor your ribs. Pull your ribs down to the mat. Stretch. Hug your knees into your chest. That's it, Candy. I see that. Good. Everybody all along this side of the room, hug your knees. You might even like curling up and bringing your forehead to your knees for a second. Yes, feel how your body feels. It should be pretty interesting. You can drop your knees to the left and look to the right. Let this be really easy on your body. Take a breath in, have a sigh. Our focus is mindfulness today, using the poses as an access point to being present and aware of ourselves, letting ourselves just be, letting our mind do what minds do, but it's not all that's happening. And switch sides. There might be something available in your yoga practice that you never even knew was possible or even knew was a possibility. Didn't even know it existed. It's a whole realm that exists that is called what we don't know that we don't know. It's more than what you know. It's more than what you know you don't know. The only way you get access to it is mindfulness, where you're present and you're open to possibility. Take a deep breath in. Open up your mouth and sigh. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together, knees open. Here in the studio, you've got your cool eye towel to the right or the left of your head. Use this pose to let your body get organized, your bones get organized and ready for some rest. I usually have to take the extra curving out of my lower back and go just toward a natural curve. I have to move my pelvis down toward my heels in the back. For some, getting your shoulder blades set is important. Once you feel your bones are set, you've got your eye towel if you want it. Stretch your legs long and wide for Shavasana. You can open your arms wide and let your palms face up. You have spent nearly 90 minutes preparing for this pose. And this pose is the peak of a sequence of poses called deep rest. It's different than like a yoga sleep. It's a whole different class called Yoga Nidra for that. It's different from your nighttime rest. It's a whole different state of awareness and being. You don't have to know what it is. Just be open to the possibility that you could be lying here. Your mind can be doing what your mind is doing. But you could be lying here different from that. Present, knowing all of that is so. Senses are sensing as they do. You get this chance in deep rest to rest from believing yourself to be what you are not. And the rest is the ability and the access to just be as you are, whole, perfect, complete. Start by deepening your breathing. And then bringing some movement to your fingers and your toes, wiggling them, giving them a squeeze. And then stretch your arms overhead, maybe roll your head from side to side. Bring your knees into your chest, roll to your side, and bring yourself up into a sitting position. Make yourself comfortable, but sit tall. And then bring your hands to prayer position at the center of your chest. Pause for a moment here, maybe eyes closed to just feel what you're feeling. And allow for an intention of some sort to choose you. Let something just come up as an intention for the rest of your day. And then 3 more times we'll create a clearing for us to just move out of the practice and into the day with. So we'll chant Om together, so we'll begin together, but create a sea of 3 Oms. So when you finish one, just start the next one. Don't worry about where everybody else is. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead and inhale. Exhale. Namaste. Good work. Good work. I have so much respect for you showing up and taking the time to make yourself the best version of yourself you can be for yourself and for others all day long. It has a huge impact on the world around us. So excellent work, and thank you. I'll see you next time. If you have any questions about your practice or any of the events going on here, you can ask me that after. If you're staying for the restorative class, take everything else out so we can clean it up. I'll pop these doors open. If you have an extra sweaty mat, hang it on the rail.